With all that being said, though, I think we can continue on to the news and the real big meat of what we're going to be talking about here. Because while we were away, as I so lovingly put it in the words of Joe Biden, we experienced 15 9/11s here. And actually, later on after we talked about this, I have to talk about my personal 16th 9/11. But that aside, the news broke last week. Sony will no longer be producing physical media for the future PlayStation 5 and apparently now PlayStation 6 games, because after, I believe it was 2028, no future games released on Sony consoles will be physical. It will be all digital only. Now, why did this happen? Well, I have seen many news and reports and speculation as to how that this even came about. The first problem began on, I believe it was the 25th, when the pre-orders for GTA 6 were announced. Now, that's also another story in and of itself, where the GTA 6 is $80 standard, and the Digital Deluxe Edition is $100. However, when you look at it, the Digital Deluxe Edition is just like the regular game that it's supposed to be, that with some features that are base included in the previous games, which are going to be stripped from the standard $80 edition. But that aside, the pre-orders also said that while there are going to be cases revealed in stores and bought from physical stores, they will not have a disc included. So that was a bit of a shock to hear about by itself. But then the next week, we get this news from PlayStation, and immediately people think that, was this just like a jump start? Well, or a jump start in the sense of, did Sony see that reaction and go, okay, we can pull the trigger on this now? Because there have also been other speculation from insiders that said that Sony had been wanting to move away from physical media since at least 2020, and they were just waiting for the right time to pull this trigger. Now, let's also talk about the fact that Sony, fundamentally, is a Japanese company, and Japan has not evolved technologically since the 1970s. So the fact that they're moving away from physical media seems kind of bizarre.
Sony is a Japanese company, but what they are doing and what their motive has been over the last, I would say, more like 8 years. Look, the turning point is when they shut down Japan's studio. They have focused entirely to Western demands, and they no longer care about the Japanese market. The only reason that PlayStation has any sort of hold in the Japanese market is because of prior brand power and brand weight. But who is buying Western releases for PlayStation games in Japan? Nobody. People own the console because you own the console. That's like the Japanese way. But continue.
And as Aaron just said, yes, over the past near 10 years, the style and sphere of influence has been moving away from the home center in Japan and been moving away towards the Western markets. And we have been seeing a lot of that, yes, as a result of, Studio Japan closing down and a whole bunch of other factors. Gravity Rush will be avenged one day, but I guess not. Because of the fact that the influence is now within the West, now trying to appeal to the Western markets, the West has effectively won over the home console in Japan, and now the whole world has to deal with this consequence. And, on top of that, by saying that they're also now going digital only, on top of that, at the same time, they also announced that the stores, the PlayStation stores for both PS3 and PS Vita, will be shutting down by the end of next year. So, the literal issue that they are creating here is just given the same amount of evidence right up front. And as soon as they dropped this bombshell, they disappeared off social media. Now they're trying to be cutesy and just trying to do their whole little advertising pivot and stuff like that.
Bro, wait, we didn't even mention the other thing. Tokon, which comes out in literally about a month, got confirmed to have the exact same thing that Helldivers 2 did, where they're blocking it in over 136 countries because the game requires you to use PSN, and they have the audacity to advertise a fucking fight stick. Oh
Shout out to Ultima. His comment down there was great. It's like saying, "Hey, wait a minute, this is a physical product. I thought you guys did digital only now." And yeah, that's kind of what the sentiment is here. Is that like not only is this such a wrong move, it is flat out anti-consumer. I mean, there's just no other way to go around doing this, because now you're forcing people onto their enclosed digital storefronts, which, as many people have also pointed out, not only is physical purchases go on sale more often on the digital storefronts. Let's compare. Let's say a good one going around. Metal Gear Solid Delta was on sale at the time of that posting for about $30, but was still $70 on the digital PlayStation Store. And the likelihood of that going on sale sure is high, but the sales are few and far between. Unlike a storefront, say, like Steam. Now, don't get it twisted. Steam, I have a little something to say about Steam as well, because they do share the same problems as all the digital storefronts. Now, you can say that, yes, Valve is a lot more consumer-friendly. The likelihood of all this stuff happening on Steam storefront is very low. Yes, that's all true. However, it is a ticking time bomb, because Gabe Newell, God willing, lives a long life, but he's not immortal. I can only hope that his son has the same amount of, drive and heart that Gabe Newell has when he takes over the company in that event. And because the second that it goes public, it's all over. I'm telling you guys now, the second Valve goes public, it's all over.
Yeah, so here's the reality of the situation. There's a lot I want to say, and I have to figure out the right way to say it. This is hard, okay?
Yeah, no, I mean, this is a difficult thing to really parse through, because the very gist of this is just saying they made a bad decision here. And unfortunately, the likelihood of this going back to anything valid is basically non-existent, because in that press release they basically admitted, complain all you want, we're not changing this decision.
So let's try and break this down, right? How did we get here? Because you should probably be asking yourself okay, so the easy answer is just, but digital sales have always triumphed after a certain point over physical. You're correct, but you're also wrong. Physical sales still account for a portion of those sales units. Physical sales are also important for a variety of reasons. You can make whatever arguments you want about Discrot, etc., right? But the reality is that physical sales have to exist because you need an option for consumers. If all purchases are being funneled through the PlayStation Store, two things happen. One, you completely destroy any big box retailer. You are essentially telling people in parts of the world that have bad internet to go fuck off and die, and you have locked off a significant portion of your audience as a result. Again, PlayStation is doing this because they want to be a Western company. They don't want to be a Japanese company or other company. They don't want to have those values. They want to work specifically within the Western world only, because that's where they generate the most revenue and the most profit, and where they can fuck consumers the most by abiding by those laws. On top of that, you also have the other problem of the fact that it just allows developers to continue to get away with absurd things. We don't talk about it that much, but I really want you to think about game file sizes. Specifically, triple and quadruple A file sizes. Do you know how big Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be? Nobody knows, but I am telling you, that shit is going to be 300 gigabytes most likely. And they are going to expect you to delete things off your PlayStation so that you have the room for that thing. That's not even talking about the fact that Grand Theft Auto is literally a $100 game. Oh, but it's $80. No, it's $100 because you need it in order to get all the content in the game, which is legitimately insane. But again, separate topic. What has specifically caused this? Okay, let's talk for a second about consumer rights and price breakdown, because that also matters a lot. If you look into any sort of price breakdown about how developers are compensated, stores are compensated, and how Sony is compensated, you will find that by producing physical media, Sony is not compensated anywhere near as much when they make a direct sale through digital platforms. It also means that consumers are now stuck with whatever Sony determines the price to be. And that means barely any discounts, extremely inflated prices at all times. So games like Metal Gear Solid Delta, for example, which are currently retailing for 60, I don't know if it's 70, I can't remember, but you can get a physical copy in stores for about 20 to 30. Games that are years old, you will have to pay full price for, or the sale price, which on PSN is absolutely pathetic most of the time. This is not a Steam sale situation where you can get games like Sonic Crossworlds for completely cut down the middle, 50% off, $35, and you watch as the player base skyrockets, and then people buy the season pass because it's like, oh, I've just bought this game. Oh, what's this? There's more content. And maybe I'll spend an extra $15. That $35 becomes $50. Valve takes a cut. Sega gets the majority. Everybody's happy. But there's no physical way to do that when Sony ends production. It means that Sony has an iron grip over the market. And you want to know what this almost... And now it's time to talk about the history. Because there was one time where this was attempted. And it's so funny. It's so funny. Because I remember that PlayStation 4 console reveal all those years ago. It really did feel like a wet fart. I'm not talking about E3. I'm talking about the PS4 reveal, where they showed off the console for the first time. And then Microsoft showed off the Xbox One, and it was the definition of disaster. I will never forget that day. I was sitting in AP Cultural Studies or something like that, and I remember just reading the tweets, reading what a disaster this event was. And most importantly was all of the stuff that came after. Game discs were locked to consoles. You could not share with your friends. You could not, in essence, give a game to another person. And everything was going to be digitally tied to the console, which means you had no ownership over the game you bought. And Sony made fun of them for it. The price of the Xbox One was such a fucking shit show, and Sony just cut the price down by like $100, $150. And it was one of the most insane E3s we had ever watched, because it was just constant fucking bangers, and Sony just giving the industry the middle finger and saying, we're taking this and we're running with it into the sunset. We fucked up with the PS3, come back, we got you guys. Fuck Microsoft. And it was beautiful. This isn't company dick riding, by the way.
I mean,
that's not.
It's a matter of historical fact at this point, because yes, you're right, and I mean that goodwill showed dividends, because the sales of the PlayStation 4 were very strong when all was said and done. Not very close to, but they were close to PS2 standards here. And yeah, it was a very interesting thing to behold by Sony undercutting flat out Microsoft when they were trying to be like price leaders, so to speak. Not exactly the right term here, but you can kind of get the idea of what I'm trying to say.
The other half of this component now is, did they tell anyone about this? Fuck no. They didn't tell anyone about this. The developers are all getting fucked as a result, because now all the developers are like, what the fuck? We have no means to produce physical games because Sony controls all of the physical disc factories.
Yeah, you have to remember, Blu-ray is patented by Sony. Like, you need to know, like, they have a monopoly on the production, quite literally.
Because they have a monopoly, it means that there is no physical way in order to produce Blu-ray discs for games without Sony. And because they're repurposing every single factory, it means that they are doing everything in their power to prevent it from ever happening. On top of all of this, there's also the fact that Sony has now openly started saying that they plan to use artificial intelligence in all of their development pipelines across the board. Which means that this has all just been one big thing that they've been cooking and they think is the right decision for their company, aka they're going to destroy themselves. This isn't even about like how much a game will sell. Do you know how hard it's gonna be to convince somebody to buy a Sony console? How hard it's going to be to convince someone to buy a physical console right now, where hardware prices are spiking across the board? Bro, the Steam machine is over $1,000 fucking dollars.
And it's not even,
Right
it is
now.
less powerful than a PS5 base, for the record.
For the record. And you want to know how much a PS5 base is probably going for about now? Or how much it's probably it's going for like, what, $700, $750, right? The Xbox Series consoles have raised their prices 3 times in the past 12 months because of all this nonsense. There are moments in history where you have to watch an art form you love go through something that is the equivalent of ego death. This is that moment. And I think it's even more insane that there are people who are dick-sucking Sony. They are also dick-sucking Rockstar right now, but again, separate thing entirely. And saying that it's fine if everything's digital. I don't buy physical anyways. You want to know something? I don't really buy physical that much. But you know what? It doesn't matter if I don't buy physical. The option has to exist. Not only for me, not for Alberto, but for consumer rights. It has to be for consumer rights. What the fuck is the point of a box that you buy to play the video game on if you can't even own your fucking shit? You paid for it. Even if you get banned on PSN, you can still play the fucking video game. Not anymore, because Sony has deemed it so.
Very easily can suspend the software and all that bullshit. And I mean, the craziest thing about this to me is that Sony quite literally has forgotten their roots. Because you guys are too young to know this, but there is a reason, one reason why the PlayStation 2 is the most highest selling console in the history of video games, period. Aaron, what is that reason?
The most cheap and affordable console that they could have produced for the time. It had a DVD player built in. It had immense software out the ass because developing for it was extremely simple. Profit margins were extremely good and charitable towards developers. It was one of the most affordable and friendly consoles for every single country in the world. The PlayStation 2 is a monument to good consumer practice. Sony is not perfect. They are not. But the PlayStation 2 is one of the most important consoles ever made because it shows us a vision of the future where when you embrace not locking your console to a very specific subset of hyper-wealthy people and actually giving developers and consumers the ability to choose what they want, the supposed goal of capitalism, you actually create something worth a damn. Why are there people still making the most insane fucking PS2 mods for video games? You know how many fucking Grand Theft Auto Brazilian homebrew PS2 mods exist? Too fucking many! Because the console is so easily affordable. It was going for years. People were still making PlayStation 2 games in 2009 and 2010. Think about that. And now look where we are. We're in a position where Sony has completely and totally blown open the truth of the industry. We are watching it happen in real time. It doesn't matter what you want. It doesn't matter how much you have to pay. You are going to take the price and you are going to take it down your fucking throat. And we are not giving you any control over what you own. It's ours, not yours. You are paying to rent it from us.
It is so disheartening to see the things that you love just be completely enshittified, especially knowing that there's going to be no intervention from any government agencies to do the right thing here, because why would they? Not in this environment, even though they absolutely should. That being said, though, much like the production of PlayStation physical copies being shut down now, it is also reported, allegedly, that the Project Helix, the next Xbox console, also won't have a disc drive either.
Disc drive.
Are we done with PlayStation? Because maybe that's a good transition.
I oh, don't worry. Oh, Microsoft is, they're awesome. What? I want to close by saying that, at this point, there's no salvaging the situation. You've got one of two options. You either full backtrack and you take the profit loss and you basically just say we fucked up, or you just start outright saying that it doesn't matter what the consumer wants. We will set the price and you will rent from us and you will own nothing. And you will stop the bullshit. Because at this point, that's one of your two options. And if you go with option 2, I'm sorry, but nobody is buying a PlayStation 6. Nobody is buying a Project Helix. Nobody's buying any of these consoles. If you cannot own it, people will not buy it. They do not give a fuck. I'm sorry. The precedent is there. Really think about it. Actually, I'm going to give you a great example of why this matters. How much do you know about Tekken? Specifically Pakistani Tekken.
I know that is a very big community in Pakistan surrounds Tekken, yeah.
Do you want to know why they have a community to begin with? I don't think Pakistan is supported via PSN. All of their locals are locally run on discs. I want you to think about that for a second. Their internet is already not great to begin with because of their infrastructure, because of how fucked other countries have made living in Pakistan for those people. You're now telling them, hey guys, it doesn't matter what you want. Your community can't actually interact with the next game that comes out, and you will not be able to interact with it. A country that has been defined by some of the most talented players in the entire world for Tekken and other fighting games. Just the Middle East in general. Now we're just telling them, no, you can't. Dominican Republic and some other countries associated in that area, they're blocked from PSN as well. They can't. They're not going to be able to play Tokan. And those are some of the best tag fighting game players of all time that comes from those countries. You got one of two options, man. It's dire. It's really bad. And then you want to know what the cherry on top is? It's not even the worst part of this whole fucking news segment. Because we still have to talk about Microsoft. This industry is so fucking cooked, man. Hey, man. Asha Sharma comes in. Guys, we're turning Microsoft and Xbox into a tech startup. We're going to get 1 billion users playing Xboxes daily. And to do that, we are killing nearly 5,000 jobs and basically selling off or removing 4 entire studios. We are restructuring everything, including removing the entire id team, all the coders that did that work on id Tech, one of the most optimized engines in the entire fucking industry right now. And we've just decided to say, nah, man, it's okay. We're all going to use Unreal Engine and we're all going to have the worst performance possible in our video games.
That's a whole different structure in and of itself because Aisha also posted on her Twitter the email that she sent out announcing all these role eliminations and studio departures as well. Some studios, I will say, the one positive I can say here is that the studios that are being closed down are not they're not actually being closed down. They're either being segmented off or they're being allowed to go indie and being released from Microsoft. So there's a positive there at least. But yeah, basically letting go all of id Studio, which by the way, today released the DLC expansion for fucking Doom of the Dark Ages. Today. Which is fucking, what a salt in the wound that must be.
Can you believe that? Can you like actually believe that, by the way? Like that's
oh, and also here's a little fun thing. Turns out there have actually been some reports that come out, which turns out that Microsoft was essentially using the profits from Minecraft to fund all the other studios.
Oh, of course. What else? What other profit? Compulsion? Really? South of Midnight? No, man. Psychonauts 2? No, man. Ninja Theory? No, man. Absolutely not. It's beyond bleak. Essentially, we are witnessing the past decade plus of Xbox's awful decision making come to fruition. It's all the same shit. And now we have a CEO who believes that they can turn it into a tech startup, make a bunch of horrible decisions, and then when, the time comes that Xbox completely collapses on itself, because again, nobody is buying Project Helix, whatever the fuck it is.
Unfortunately, guys, we are at the precipice of a second video game crash, and unfortunately, again, it seems like Nintendo's gonna be the only one to weather that storm.
And it's going to be even fucking worse because you guys don't understand what's going to happen when Nintendo is the only guy around. Oh, you think it's funny now? No, man. Nintendo's setting the price on everything. $80 games? Nah, we're going to 90 and 100. And you're going to have to eat that up because it's Nintendo and that's how they fucking operate. They don't care about the consumer. They've never cared about the consumer. You will buy the new thing, and you will only think about the new thing. You will not think about the old thing unless we give you access to the old thing, which you have to pay extra for. When I say that this Xbox news was nothing short of, like, breathtaking to me, truly breathtaking to me, because I was like, wow, they really just said, it's fine, guys, we'll blow it up. It's cool. You know, look, man. I'm somebody who said that, you know, this shit's gotta crash and burn. But, like, holy fuck. It's like, you guys are just doing it yourself. They're the ones who... You know what? Please tell me you've seen the image of everyone with the shotguns, and then, you know, it's just Nintendo with the shotgun in hand, like, confused about what to do with it, right?
Yeah, same with Valve as well, yeah.
Valve getting gunned down by the AI and RAM cartels.
It is just so disheartening. Do I believe we could come out stronger on the other end? Honestly, yeah, I think, but it's gonna be a lot of hardship moving forward, and all I can say is for now, get as many physical games as you can, because it's just so disheartening.
People have been saying that, you know, others are overreacting. That's not true. The reaction is actually completely valid, and is completely 100% real. This is not bullshit, right? $100 digital only, 30 FPS, AI upscale frame gen with exclusive digital edition content, or replaying Deus Ex for the 50th time. Which one are you gonna take? Because for me, it's very obvious what I'm taking.